Hello, everybody. Just getting started over here. If you are tuning in real time, thank you for tuning in. And if you are somebody coming back watching this video sometime in the future, hello as well. I'm just going to be doing a little bit of Q&A today. If you are somebody who wants to ask questions, has comments, all of that, you can drop them in the chat, but you also can head over to the Discord if you want. I put a link in the description if you want to like submit a file for me to look at, that sort of thing. I can't always look at everything. I won't always have an answer for everything, but if you have something where you're like, hey, you need to give an example or whatever, the Discord's a good place to do it. And I think I'm just going to jump right in. Looks like we got a few people who have joined. Welcome everybody. And hey, if you're out there and everything's working and the audio's working and all that, drop a comment. It really helps me just confirm everything's going well. Hey, Lady Mall, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, so anybody who's new, my name's Josh. Teach people how to make Excel look a little less like Excel. A lot of what I do is just leveraging some of the built-in visual design features in Excel, and kind of helping people get out of the what I call the sort of grid layout mindset in Excel and start to do other stuff with it. This example behind me is one I use a lot. This is an e-commerce dashboard built in Excel, and it's just using standard Excel features. Oh, that's Amer. Hey, Amer, thanks for commenting. Much appreciated. So essentially, when you look at Excel and you think about sort of where your data lives, it's typically living in something that looks a little something like this. Table, rows, columns. You're writing formulas in those columns or putting data into those columns, and that's how you're kind of coming up with whatever it is you want to display. But with a little bit of creativity, using visualizations and text boxes, we can start to build more sort of dynamic dashboards that take data out of those cells and put them into a little bit different of a layout. And that's what kind of gives us all this flexibility. And a lot of these sort of layout features that are in Excel work exactly the same way that they do in PowerPoint. So if you've kind of worked in PowerPoint before, you've added in, say, a shape, and then you've added in text on top of it, and added on, things on top of that. You can kind of create complex designs that way. And it works the same way here. You can insert pictures, shapes, icons, heck, even 3D models. We got all sorts of options here. And we have the ability to layer them together to create these kind of cool, complex designs. And like, again, this is like something that most people are loosely familiar with because any visual design tool sort of has this concept of layers, right? Of like shapes, images, text, you put them on top of each other, right? That concept, we all kind of have built up that skill at some point. And usually it's in PowerPoint that people have done that before. So I like to gently encourage people to start using those same skills you already have in Excel to start building more complex, kind of interesting stuff like this. So that's kind of the boring spiel. I'm thinking today on the stream, I am just going to be working on this little fun project planner that I've had it kind of on the back burner for a long time. This is using a couple of free templates that are kind of come with Excel. So if you go to File, New from Template in Excel, you're going to get a bunch of free template options. I was looking at like Gantt charts in here, and I was also looking at project planning tools in here. And so I got a couple of the ones that I liked and combined them together. Looks like I can't find the example of the project planner I used here, but it's in here somewhere. Oh, here it is. So I took two of these and I sort of combined them into one. I really liked the idea of a sort of this like timeline visualization we have here. And I really liked the idea of a Gantt chart that's kind of dynamically updated. So I took that timeline visualization and connected it to the data that's right here for this Gantt chart. And it all came together to kind of create this fun kind of combo template. But I just don't really like the design of this. I think visually it's a little blah. So I want to come up with some ways to make this a little more visually interesting. a little more engaging, and just kind of play around with it, see what we can come up with. So that is what the plan is. I obviously will be answering questions as we go. So if you have questions, comments, doesn't have to be about what I'm doing. It can just be about anything data related, Excel related, etc. I will be happy to answer them. Just drop them in the chat and I'll pause and answer questions along the way. So first thing first, I think I'm going to turn this into a dark background on top. When you are doing dark, light themes in Excel, you typically don't want your background to be 100% black or 100% white. You want to have something that's like a little in between. And meaning if it's totally black in the background, it's going to make it a little tricky to add contrast and a few other things. If it's totally white in the background, it's going to do the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go in this greeny blue area here on my color wheel, and I'm going to get something that's like right in here. See how that looks. Yeah, I think that'll work okay. Then obviously we have to update all of our chart colors because right now the labels don't work. They don't look that great. So I'm going to click into this and just see how these are styled. Now, this timeline chart was really, really interesting. Whoever made this template, if you are out there watching by any chance, I really liked the way that you did this. So the chart itself, I believe is a, I believe this is a line chart. Hold on. Fill, solid fill. No, I think actually maybe it's a bar chart. So I think our bars have to be updated to match our background, and that will clear some of this out. But it also has error lines, I believe. These are error bars. So to create this little line that goes up to the label on each of these, the person who came up with this did essentially an error bar. So I'm going to change these to like more of a light color, and then I'm going to make it very transparent. And what I might even do is make these dashed. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now these dots are actually a series, I believe. These are a line chart that has no line plotted, just a marker. So we're going to take that marker and I'm actually going to make it like a lighter color. I'm thinking we'll go with a white first and then we'll adjust it as we go. And again, if anybody's just tuning in, if you've got questions, comments, go ahead and drop them in. I'm doing this on YouTube right now, and we tend to have much, much smaller audiences on YouTube. Amer, I think you might be the only one that's tuned in right now. So if you do have questions or comments, if anybody's out there, you are more than welcome to answer or to ask them, and I am almost certainly going to answer them. All right. Let me dive back into it here. So we updated that marker color. I like that a little bit better. And then we've got our text. So our text has, our text right now, it's a label, and the label has been styled to have a background color, which I actually like. I think that's kind of a fun idea. But what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of tone down that label a little bit. So I'm just went with white, and I'm just going to play around with the transparency to see where I like it. And then I'm also going to change the font color to a white. Let's see what that looks like. Well, there we go. This is starting to look a lot better. I'm kind of digging this now. Now I see. All right, there we go. Yeah, Amer. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. By the way, it's great having you here. It's funny when I do YouTube streams. Most of the views come in afterwards. Most of the views end up being people tuning back in to watch the recordings of the streams, which is different. I that's not how it normally works on TikTok or any of the other platforms. So it's interesting. Okay, so I'm liking the way this looks. I'm also noticing there's like a little. You might not even be able to see it. It's not super easy to see, but there is a little uneven area down here. I'm not sure what's causing it, so I'm just going to make sure these are all filled in the same. And it still is. I don't know what that's about. Well, I'll have to play around with things and figure out what's causing that. That did not fix it, almost. Nope. Okay. Okay, and hey, if anybody else is tuned in, by the way, feel free to ask questions, comments, whatever, anything about Excel, data visualization, any of that. I am here to help and answer as we go. So, one thing I did not like about this sample template that we're using as the base here is I think it's just too many time periods. So the periods could be anything here. It could be days, it could be weeks, however you operate. But there's like 60 of them, and then it makes for a really, really long chart. In this case, we've got 26 different activities. In my experience, in most like project planning environments, people aren't necessarily. Oh, hey, Aimer, no pressure on the questions, and Jan, I believe, or Jen. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Greetings to you in Finland. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in. I found that most times somebody's filling in like a project planner like this, it's not 26 activities long. That was just the default on this one. So I think we might want to tighten this up a little bit and reduce the size of it. So first I'm just going to see how this looks as we kind of shrink it down a little bit. That gives us a little more flexibility. And then maybe we reduce our font size a little bit or something. Yeah, that looks okay. It's still not perfect, but we can adjust as we go. Okay, so so essentially right now, how this is working is this project planner Gantt template we got from the template gallery in Excel. File, new from template. I just type in Gantt chart and grabbed a Gantt chart. This Gantt chart is now connected to this timeline. So the timeline is just showing the series of events that are coming from this set of data right here. But I'm thinking we might also want to think about other types of visualizations to include in here. Right now, a timeline's fun. It's visually interesting. It's a nice way to kind of break down the series of events. But I'm wondering if there's any other insights somebody might want from the set of data that we have here. And I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm thinking what it might be is some kind of progress gauge type bar chart or progress gauge chart. So in a sense, saying like how many of these project planner items have been completed, and showing how far we're through that. So if there's 26 items and you've completed 13 of them, the progress bar would be at about 50%. Something like that might be fun. We'd have to think through how to format that, though. And Aimer says, my project has 57 things. I'm not even kidding. That is wild. And also probably very hard to visualize as I'm thinking about it. But not impossible. I mean, in theory, we could add 26 more of these. That would almost be enough. So I guess we're not technically limited here. It's really more of a visualization thing that causes the limitations. Oh yeah, Aimer asked, do we have a split by who does what? That is a great idea. So maybe adding in an extra column for who each of these is assigned to would be a very cool idea, actually. I kind of like that. So let's say this is maybe going to break some stuff as we do this, but let's just try it, why not? So what if we just take this one and bring it over? Okay, let's see if everything breaks. Hold on. Here we go. Did it all break? It did not. Good. Okay. Oops. Formatting. Okay. Excellent. So we're going to add in an assigned to, and then we'll just add in a person's name. Something like that. This, because I am using a pre-built template as the base for this, we've got some really weird combinations of fonts in here. So I'm going to have to go through and update all of these fonts anyways. I don't think I've ever seen Batang used before as a font option, but that's okay. So let's just change this to Calibri. For some reason, if anybody out there is a fonts expert, it takes my computer ages to load all of my fonts when I'm in Excel lately. No idea what that's about. Even if we use like departments instead of people. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Department. Well, what would we use for departments? Let's see. Maybe we do like. I'm trying to think what departments would work together in something in this hypothetical project that we have going here. It's okay. You know what? I'm just gonna drop in random ones. Engineering, design, marketing, logistics, something like that. When we're working with fake data like this, it's not critically important that you have something that is gonna totally be an ideal combo. So we're just gonna throw some in there. Wait, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go there. Okay. Cool. So now we got some fake ones in here. Alrighty. So yeah, I really like that. I guess the next question is going to be, how do we what kind of chart do we build out of this? I think maybe we do something like, we just do a little breakdown by each department, and I mean, I think the nicest visualization, I don't know if this is going to be an option here, would be to have each department and the progress each department has made through all of the items assigned to them, which I think we could in theory do. I actually don't think that's impossible, but it might just be a little tricky. First, let me just get this styling fixed because that's going to drive me crazy. There we go. It's looking a little better. Okay. Now, just thinking here about how we would turn this into the type of visualization we want. So I think the first thing we would need to do is to think about turning this into an actual table, because right now this is in a table. If you're somebody who's like new to the concept of tables in Excel, when you convert something into a table, it makes it a lot easier to sort it, filter it, reference it later on, that sort of thing. And in this case, this isn't a table, which makes it a little hard to do some of the stuff we want to do. And we want to be able to have references that are easy to update later on. So you never know, if you have a project, how many activities you would have in that project. Right now, in this example is 26, but you might do another project where there's only 10, or another project like Amer's example where there's 57, right? And so you don't want to have to update all of your references later on as this thing changes. You want it to automatically update to reflect how things have changed, meaning when you add more data in, you want it to automatically change your selection to include everything that you've added. So I think we're going to convert this to a table, and for a moment it is going to look absolutely terrible. Autofilter is a good friend. Oh, interesting. Yeah. And okay, my table has headers. Oops, we need to change this. Add headers, hit OK. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so it didn't destroy all of our styling. Just looks a little weird now. It's not terrible. So let's just get this cleaned up a little bit. I don't know what color font we want here. What does it look like with a... I don't know, it doesn't look terrible, but it's not the best ever. I really might add in some spacing in here or something. Right now, this is all just not aligned the way I would like it to be, and it's such a big part of making reports that look really good. It's just getting things aligned properly. We'd want this far edge probably aligned with this edge, and we'd probably want a little bit of padding in between these. We'll play with that later on, though. So we have added in department. We've got our list of activities, and we were going to start thinking about how we could do some sort of breakdown of engineering, design, logistics, etc. So let's add another tab in here, or another sheet, excuse me. Pivots. So we're going to do pivot tables for this, I think. Let's go back over. When you make a table, it's always nice to name them. I'm going to just call this activities. And you want to name them something that's easy to reference later on. And I'll show you why here in a second. As we go to the pivot table section, we go to insert, pivot table. We can now just type in the name of that table we added in before, activities. And it's going to automatically know to reference it. So let's drop in department for rows. And then I guess we're just going to put in activity. This is going to be a count of unique activities for each department now, which is great, but, and there's a big challenge here. If we happen to have the same name for an activity, so for example, if we had more than one activity with the same name here, this number wouldn't be accurate. I think that's okay in this case. I think we can keep unique names, but we might want to do a little workaround where we combine activity with something else to make sure that we always have a unique value there. For now, though, we'll just keep it as is. So showing the breakdown of activities for each department is useful, but I think it's more useful to show the breakdown of activities for each department that have been actually completed versus not completed. So we might, let's see here, I think we might be able to add a calculated field to our pivot table to do this. I'm going to go to field items, I'm going to calculated field. All right, so complete. That's what I'm just going to call this. So we want to say, what do we want this operation to be? Equals if, where is it? Percent complete. So percent complete equals 1, comma. This would be, we want to count the number of complete items, so we just give it a 1, and then if not, we give it a 0. Let's see if that works. Or I'm awful, absolutely awful at doing calculated fields and formulas in real time. But let's just see if this works. No, that did not work. So the question is, why didn't it work? Are these actually... Yeah, okay, that's why it didn't work. So I think it's because these are not actually values entered the right way. 100%, well, let's try it. Hold on. Because we should have at least one of these complete, because we have at least one complete item in the list. Let's see here. Oh, and this is one other quick note here, folks. If you are on a Mac, which I am on right now, I guess we could use percentage complete. Does it make sense to combine percentage complete in this case? I guess it would, kind of, wouldn't it? If you think about it, like you kind of, or would we want to do percentage complete multiplied by total activities? No. Interesting. I'm just thinking conceptually, right? So like we've got a bunch of different tasks. Tasks can be different lengths of time, or require different lengths of time. They can be different size tasks. And we have a percentage complete for each of those tasks. And the percentage complete, if something's a 6-period long task that's 50% done. Do we want to account for that, or do we just want to say 50% of any task is the same? If that, right? So there's like a conceptual difference there that's kind of important. I think maybe in this case we just keep each task as a single unit. I guess we could add up. We could literally sum the percentage complete. Let's just try that and see how it works. Percent complete. Percentage complete weighted in total project completedness. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to truly do percentage complete weighted according to total project size and total project completeness in this case, we would really want to look at the duration of the task multiplied by the percentage complete. And then in here, we wouldn't actually want to have count of unique activities. I think what we'd actually have instead would be count of duration, or excuse me, sum of all durations. And then if you did that, in theory, you would have a sense of how much of all of this work's done for each of these things. It's actually, this is actually a really fun example from like a data perspective of what would the user really expect to see here. And I don't know if we're doing it the right way. I don't think I'm actually taking the right approach here. I think actually the right approach is a little more in depth, like Amer's saying in the comments here. I think the right approach is to instead say, okay, we've got a bunch of activities. An activity takes a certain duration. So when we're trying to see each department, how much activity does each department have and how much progress has each one made, what we really care about is not necessarily the count of unique activities each department has. What we really care about is the duration of all of the activities that each department has combined, meaning like the sheer quantity of work that each department's going to have, in a sense, I think. So what we can do here is rethink this, and instead of trying to just do count of activity, we'll remove that. Statistics degree is finally helping me. Yeah, 100%, right? I gotta say, of all of the classes I took that I actually use related to my work, and I have a business management economics degree, and I rarely use anything from that degree. But one thing I do use is the statistics courses I took. They do play a factor. They do play a pretty big role in a lot of what I do. So if you're thinking about like, hey, what classes do I need to get started in this? Stats is a useful one to have, just to help you really think through things. I had an absolutely horrible stats professor, by the way, the worst. Somebody I still dislike to this day, but the course itself is still really, really valuable. Okay, so we were going to talk about doing plan duration, and we are going to have to do a calculated field where we multiply duration by percent complete. So we're going to add in another calculated field here. We want to do plan duration times percent complete. Okay, so something's wrong here. Plan duration times percent complete should always be lower than the actual duration. So something's going wrong in this calculated field. Meaning, so if we take one thing where we say, what is the total plan duration for each department? And then we look at it through a different lens, which is how much of this plan has each department completed, and we do that by multiplying the plan duration by the percent complete. in theory, we should always be having either equal or less than for the multiplied value than from the actual plan duration itself, if that makes sense, right? So like, you can't, none of these percentage completes. Well, yeah, and Amer's saying divide by 100, but I don't, even if we divide by 100, is that, it still seems like those numbers don't add up, but let's do it, actually, just let's start by doing it. Oh, we're going to have to do another calculated field. Something that drives me nuts about calculated fields on Mac is that I can't go back and edit the previous calculated field. But let's do this, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to verify this number after we do it. So what did we have in here? We had plan duration times percent complete, and we want to divide all that by 100. See if that accounts for the percentage issue. Okay. Yeah, so that... Yeah, that still doesn't seem right. Hold on. So that's way too small. This is way too big. So what is happening here? I think this has to do with the way that a pivot table is solving for these values. So for example, let's just... one way to always to go back and verify these is to go through and just manually grab one. So if we say plan duration for engineering is, we know that the sum is 21. And if we look here, I think we can see that that's about right. So we've got plan duration 5, 3, that's 8, 9, 14, 14 plus 7, 21. Perfect. So that's right. So we know that maybe you have to use number in that, not percentage, as the data type. Yeah, that could be it. That's an idea. Let's go. Actually, is it? Okay. I'm just checking to see if that's just... that's a great idea, Jan, by the way. Jan, let me know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sorry. And then, and if we look at percent complete, so let's say we're at 0.25 here. So 0.25, and then let's look at this one, 0.85. I'm not actually going to get the exact number here, so plus 0.6, 0.8, okay. So, right, so our number should be something a little lower than 21, but certainly higher than 0.5. So we know that both of our calculated values here are not coming out right. Okay, and I'm just going to really quickly refresh all. See if that changed anything. No? Okay. So yeah, we changed that to number, and I just refreshed our calculated fields. We're still not getting the number we want here. This is the kind of slow, boring side of doing this kind of stuff in Excel that I don't often show on the channel, just because it's slow, it's boring, you know, you're kind of doing real-time problem solving. It can get a little exhausting, but this is such a big part of the work. If you're thinking about going into doing this kind of stuff for a living, this is going to be a tremendous part of it, no matter what you do. So, let me remove this. So I'll tell you what I think's going on here. Is the pivot table's trying to solve this by adding up all of the plan duration and then adding up all of the percent complete and then multiplying them, the sums together. Yeah. So instead, I'm not even sure if I can use sum product in the calculated field here, but what we could do is we could just do this calculation in the table itself instead of trying to do it in the pivot table. So this comes up, I found this comes up all sorts of in different ways when you're doing pivot table stuff. Oftentimes you end up in this, and Amer, you described it really well, some product versus some kind of problems. And oftentimes, instead of trying to get like convoluted with our workarounds, what I will simply do is just add another column to our table and do the calculation in each row of the column ahead of time, so that we're working with a final number that then can be summed, and it would make sense if it was summed. So let's see here. We want to add one more table. Okay. Yeah, I'm always sort of working with my hands tied behind my back on Mac to some degree. I'm not. There's no criticism here on for Excel for Mac. Excel for Mac is an amazing system, but it is not always perfect, and there are little incongruencies and stuff that can cause big issues. Cells in column, yep. And you often don't find those until it's too late. Okay, I'm actually going to delete all of this. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. Yeah, we're still okay. No, actually we do want, never mind. All right, that's okay. Okay, so 25% of 5, yeah, okay. Those look right. Great. So now in our pivot table, let's drop in percent complete. No. Complete. Wait, hold on. I just completely forgot what I named my column. Duration complete. Let's go back over. Do we have duration complete? No, because I didn't refresh my data yet. No. Oh, wait. Hold on. What am I doing? Refresh all. Duration complete. There we go. That looks much more accurate. The only thing Mac has better than Windows is the cute layers animation, which I really want. I know. Everybody loves that, and it's hilarious to me that it only exists on Mac. Okay, so with a little bit of work, we now have each department. We have the total duration of all the work that they have, and we have the duration complete. I'm just quickly going to remove the blanks in here because we have a blank row that's going to keep showing up. So how do we want to visualize this? I think what we're going to do is a bar chart with a indicator line, I think is the best way to do this. So we're going to go to Insert, we're going to go to Pivot Chart, and it's going to drop in a bar chart by default. This is just what we always get by default with pivot charts. We can then go to Design, the Design tab, and we can hit Change Chart Type. So I'm going to turn this to a horizontal bar. I think this is going to work better in the space that we have available to us. And I'm just going to copy paste this over, and then we're going to start styling it. We'll drop that in. And just, y'all, if you've ever seen any of my videos, you've heard me say this, but just remove your chart background and the border and change your font to something that shows up. It's so much easier to work with the charts when they don't have a background getting in the way. So we're just going to get that background out of here. I don't know if I need an X-axis set of labels for this. We're really trying to just show overall comparisons here. The exact number, I don't know if it's going to be as important. So I'm going to remove that for now. We can add it back later if we decide we want to. So one of these is progress, one of these is total. And what I'm thinking is that instead of a bar for the progress, what I might do is convert this to a line chart, but actually remove the line. So let me, oops, sorry, my screen's a little blocked by my camera as I do this. Give me a second. So I've clicked into one of my bars. I'm going to go to Change Chart Type, and I'm going to go to Line, and I'm going to get one that's got markers on it. Okay, good. Now, hold on. That's completely misaligned. What is happening here? Wait, if we do that? No? Gap width? No, okay, that's not doing it. Hold on. Technical difficulties, give me a second here. Hold on, everybody. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to get the marker from a line chart without any of the other elements. But for some reason, as I changed this, it didn't do exactly what we wanted. So in theory, if I change this to a 2D line, it would plot across the same thing. I think because this is a horizontal bar, though, we're not getting the lines where we need them. Or excuse me, the dots where we need them. So we might just have to do this as a double bar here. Yeah, I think this could work. Well, we're going to work with it. So let's go with less gap width here. And let's change our... Wait, no, not series overlap. We want to change our gap width. So I actually think this chart does the job pretty well. It's not 100% what I wanted going into this, but it does kind of get the job done. So in a sense, if you think about this, we've got two bars, one showing how far we actually are along, and one showing the total number of hours. We would obviously need to label this properly for it to work, because right now you have no idea what each of these bars is. But I think the concept behind it is actually pretty good. So let's add in a set of labels and make it so the whole thing is interpretable. Yeah, I'm actually not, I'm not unhappy with this. Okay, what labels do we want to add here? We actually want to add a legend, I believe is what we want to add here, not labels. So, oftentimes, when you are working with pivot tables and you add in a legend, it's going to be like sum of blah, 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 it's just the naming conventions can be confusing for the user. You know, if somebody came in this not understanding kind of what they were looking at, they might be like, wait, why is sum of blah, 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 blah? It might actually make it more confusing for them. So if you go into your values, you right click them and go to field settings, you can change the name. We're going to go with department. What do we want to call this? Total department cost or something like that. No, why did I say cost? Excuse me, total department hours, total department. I mean, maybe we just call these something like duration and progress or something like that. I wonder if that is self-explanatory enough. I'm just going to leave that for now because I only have so long to stream right now, and I don't want to think too hard about this, but you all will hear me talk a lot about giving things clear, concise, easy to understand names, and I'm not doing a great job of this here. So we always think about names that are going to make sense to whoever's viewing this that might not have context. Time required, duration. Oh yeah, okay, I like that. Time required progress. I like that a lot, Aimer. Good idea. Okay. And then I'm just going to move that over because I like to align things. So that actually does look kind of nice. I'm okay with that. And then we've got our timeline next to it. I think that looks kind of cool. So now we get down into this other section. I think this upper section is good right now. I think we could do a little bit to improve the design here. I think we could kind of jazz this up a little bit, but for now, I kind of like it. You guys will often see in a lot of my projects me adding in little drop shadows, and let's see if I can just grab one from another. Do I have any drop shadows I can use here? Ooh, I might not have any in this example. That's okay. So we'll just add one in. If I insert a little rectangle here, and this is like just to break these sections up a little bit, I'm going to drop a rectangle in. By default, the styling is going to not be what I want. So I'm going to get that up there. I'm going to remove the outline. I almost never use outlines on my rectangles. Needs a zebra from Amer. We could get a zebra in there. I'm going to do a gradient fill. The default gradient is this weird 4-part gradient. I don't know why this is the default gradient in Excel. So instead, we're going to go on one side, we're going to have a very transparent dark background. On the other, we're going to just also select the same color but make it fully transparent. And then we're going to just bring this all the way over, and it's got a little shadow to it. So what this is going to do then, we don't need to go much farther. There we go. Is it's just going to give us a little bit of depth here. And I think I went a little farther over than I need to, but there we go. I sometimes just like to drop in a little bit of a shadow or something like that to give things a little bit of depth. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that. I think the only other thing here in the upper section is how to make these two match. You know what I mean? So right now, this color scheme matches the bottom because the theme of the template had these as the default colors. So this one matches this lower one, which is what I started with. But our chart over here doesn't match. We have different background colors on the labels and stuff. So we might want to, in this case, update this to look a little more like this or vice versa. So like one way would be, hey, do we want to take this background and change it and make it a little more like the other background? So like if we did a white and then transparent. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay. That was just an option. Okay. Oh, I actually used the 3D zebra in a project. I locked the top 7 rows to keep my header while scrolling. So now when you scroll down, the zebra looks at you over the table. That's awesome. Oh, Hugh Fem. Hello, thanks for joining. I don't know what emoji that is. Is that a peanut? I think that's what that emoji is. It's hilarious. Anyway, all right. We'll think about getting these color schemes matched up later. For now, let's keep going. Hugh, hopefully you're here to learn about Excel. If it's 3 a.m. where you are, that means... Are you based out of Vietnam? Is that right? Or somewhere in that region. It's a potato. Potato. Got it. Okay. All right. So anyway, so yeah, we got through the first part. I think this looks kind of nice. I like this as a starting point on the top. And then maybe what we'll do is we'll update this one to kind of reflect the design we have over here. Sometimes when I feel like the colors aren't totally matching, I just add a little bit of transparency. And that is a fun little trick for getting your color palettes to match a little better when you're struggling. Nice guess. You are right. Oh, there we go. Cool. Called it. Okay. So let's see. One of the frequent challenges I get on projects, people send me a project. They say, "Hey, Josh, I've got this big table. Can you make it look cool for me?" And the problem is that you can't do that much to style tables to make them look that good. There's really only so much you can do with a table to make it look good. Just by the nature of tables, because they're very rectangular and there's very limited styling you can do, it's like you can't really make them look awesome. So we'll have to think about what we want to do with this section. And it's also true for Gantt charts, because Gantt charts aren't actually a chart in the sense of a chart in Excel. Normal charts in Excel are like what we see up here, which is it's an actual visualization. It's a graph. Gantt charts are actually just strategically styled cells given different conditional formatting to show up in different colors, so they can't be styled in the same way. I love how the new chart kind of looks like a hand pointing at the timeline. Yeah, totally. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I'm noticing something. I don't know if y'all can see this on the timeline, but these little dots have all moved. They're all not at the base anymore, which means that when I moved all of our columns in the chart, I must have accidentally changed the reference on these. So, okay, this should actually be pointed at... Oh, okay. I just figured out what happened here. I think we want this to just be... Let me see if this does it. Oh, wait, sorry. Equals... So essentially, to get all of these little dots to all be at the exact same y-axis height, they all need to be the same value. And I used to actually have, I think, ones in this table. Like, it was like equals 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I think if I just do this... No? Am I not remembering how to do this? U type equals... Hold on, folks. I'm making some rookie mistakes here as I try to change this value, so bear with me. What am I doing wrong here? Do we just do... No? Sorry. I'm just trying to get this all to equal 1, and I'm not sure why I'm having such a hard time doing it. No? Verify the name starts with a letter underscore, doesn't include a space or character that is allowed, doesn't include the name in the workbook. Yeah. Okay. So, hold on. We're going to figure out how to do this. All values in chart equal 1. So I will, just as much as anybody else, I just run into issues like this and literally, I literally will just Google, like, hey guys, what am I missing here? And that is actually what I'm doing right now, is I'm just checking to see this. And surprisingly, this is one of those issues that is actually not easy to find a solution to. Oh, whoops. Okay. So, Amer is also asking, why are these all... Why did this get renamed as hashtag ref? And I'm thinking what happened here is I added this column for duration complete. This data used to be pointing at that column, but because we, I think, deleted or inserted another column, the name reference got mixed up. So in this case, we don't even actually need a name on this one. I mean, I wonder, can we just put placeholder in here or something? Is that... Yeah, that should be fine. And then, for whatever reason, my trick of just doing 1 here is not working. When trying to type a form... What in the world? Yeah, that's fine. Y'all don't want to watch me doing this forever, so instead of me spending a bunch of time trying to do something really simple, I'm just going to move on, and we'll get this one fixed up in a second. In the meantime, this chart did not break in terms of the x-axis position, so these are still showing up in the right order. The only thing that broke is the position of these dots. So I think we should be okay. Well, let's get that fixed up in a little bit. Okay. So, going back down to our table, we were just talking about how to style this kind of stuff to make it look a little nicer. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how much I love this orange theme that this came with out of the box. It's not terrible. It's just not maybe my favorite. I do kind of like that they used a serif and sans serif font here. Like, that combo is kind of nice. But I'm just thinking about how this all looks. So, for example, like, what if we change this font to dark? Does that look better? I don't know. I kind of do like it a little better. We would also want to change any other fonts that are not Okay, yeah, something like that. I do like that a little bit better, actually. Other thing we want to do here, if I insert a line, is this gonna break anything? No, that should still work. Project start, yep, good. Okay, and then we're just gonna drag this over to clear all the styling. Great. And then remove that outline. Let's remove that. Okay, better. So I just wanted to create a little breathing room here. So a big thing when you're doing any kind of design work is figuring out your padding. Padding is the space, the empty white space around elements, right? So if we had this text, but this text was like crammed in here and there was no space around it, the design wouldn't look as nice. I'm just gonna shrink this down to give a sense. So for example, if there is no space on top, no padding on top, but there is padding beneath it, the page looks kind of lopsided, right? So a lot of the most effective work or efficient work you can do is getting things set up so that they have equal padding, or as close to equal padding as you can get. Hold on. Is that gonna, yeah, good. So if we have about this much space beneath it, we probably want to have about that much space above it as well. And if you kind of keep just that general principle, anytime you have an element, create kind of equal spacing above and below it and side to side, it goes a long way to make things look more organized. Same thing's kind of true with like, if you have multiple elements on a page like this, keeping things kind of the same height. So you look at like this rectangle, these two rectangles combined are roughly the same size, same height as this rectangle, right? That makes things just look so much better. Yeah, it looks like when the page is crooked in your printer, exactly. Those little styling differences can make a really big impact. So period highlight. I don't like this highlight color, but we can leave it for now. And I'm wondering about this Gantt chart and how easy it is to interpret. So right now, this Gantt chart has a bunch of different states: plan duration, actual start, percentage complete, actual beyond plan, percentage complete beyond plan. So I kind of want to simplify all of this in a sense, which is to say, like, do we need to show all this, and can somebody interpret all of it? I don't think they can right now. I think this just looks like a bunch of blocks. I think really the most we could have here are like 3 different elements, and that might be actual start, percentage complete, and then maybe another color for percentage beyond. So meaning, instead of showing the duration, when it actually started, when it was supposed to start, how complete it is, how far it went beyond the plan versus how far it went, how far the actual start date was beyond plan, and how far all that, I think we just need to boil it down to like 3 things. So that's going to actually require quite a bit of work. Let's see how we can do this here. As far as I understand it, the person who built the version of this, the original version of it, was using... Seeing this at the perfect time was assigned a timeline Gantt chart at work. Thank you for the tips. Oh yeah, you're so welcome. And hey, just a heads up, because you're just tuning in, it sounds like, if you want this one here, I'm using a base from a free template that comes in Excel. So if you go to your file menu and hit new from template and just type Gantt up here, you'll get a bunch of Gantt charts, and I'm just using the top left one in this example. Yeah, so I think you're right. You said overtime needs to be there because of costs. So we definitely need a percentage beyond plan as one of the options here. So anyway, sorry, let me just go into conditional formatting, manage rules. So how this person did this entire Gantt chart was using a complex set of conditional formatting rules. I am a little nervous about this because I don't know how they broke these down. Applies to K22 through BR. So I believe It's the same rules applied across all of them. Let's see. I'm just looking at what use a formula to determine which cells to format. Sorry. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the formatting rules that they used. So we've got a bunch of formulas here. And I'm just wondering if we want to drop out the ones we don't need. How do we do that without breaking everything else? Really, is all we're doing here. Okay, so I think what they have is these general rules, which is saying format everything according to these rules. And then at the end, we've got a secondary set of rules that are saying reset it back to these base colors if it is reset it back to these base colors if it's not within the range selected, meaning if it's not within the actual start to actual finish or something like that. So let me just double check on all these. K21 equals. Okay, so this is the one that's giving us the highlight color, meaning equals K21 equals period selected. So it's saying if we change this period selected to 5, it's going to highlight period 5. So we don't want to mess with that one because I actually like this idea of highlighting different periods. I think that's quite fun. So let's go in here, manage rules. Oh wait, no, excuse me. Let's go in here. No, we want K22 through here. Just selecting all of these. Conditional formatting, manage rules. Okay, so first things first. What do we want to show? Do we need to show plan duration and actual start? And percentage complete. I think we can just show actual start, and I think we can. Do we want to remove plan duration? No, we have to have plan duration because we need to show how long this thing's supposed to take, right? Actual start, I don't know if that's actually necessary because plan duration is going to highlight when things actually start. So let's start with actual start, which I believe is this one. So I think, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of deleting these, I'm just going to remove what they apply to. Is that going to work? No. Okay. Did that clean things up? Didn't make things much easier to interpret. That's okay. Let's keep going though. So there's a little less going on, but it's still a little hard to interpret. Let's go back to conditional formatting and keep managing our rules. So we don't need stop if true. And it did not persist. So actually we are just going to remove this rule and see what happens. Okay. Simplified things a little bit. That's okay. We'll just put this here. Nope. We're going to put it here? No? Okay, that's okay. There's a lot of merged cells on this because in the original template that we're using as the base, the person had to make all the cells this wide for each of these little sections. So this whole legend is in an area where the spacing's kind of weird. So I think we're going to actually manually add in our own legend for this instead of using the legend we have here. That's okay though. Let's finish going through these conditional rules. See if we can clean these up a little bit more. So actual beyond plan, percentage complete beyond plan. I'm trying to understand the difference between these. Actual beyond plan, percentage complete beyond plan. I think percentage complete is just trying to show how far in you actually are. So I think we're going to remove percentage complete beyond plan, and that's going to just remove one more of these colors and make it a little easier to interpret. So manage rules, actual beyond plan, no, percent complete beyond. Okay, yeah, that's the one we need to remove. So we are going to remove that. Okay, so we've cleaned this up a little bit. I'm going to remove all this stuff up here. We're just going to make our own separate, easier to interpret version of the legend. Because here's the thing, and this might be silly for somebody out here who actually works in operations and maybe even has a better understanding than I do of this stuff. But in my experience, oh, that's not working. In my experience, if you give people like 5 different labels in any kind of project management tool like this, they just can't follow all of the different things going on. You got to simplify it as much as you can. So like 3, I think, is about as many as it makes sense to have. And what I mean by 3 is like 3 different color coding options is probably as far as you can go for something to make sense to somebody quickly and easily. I don't know if y'all have ever spent time in project management apps, but when there's like a bunch of these different options, it can get really confusing really, really fast for people. People just don't know what's going on. So now we've got this set up a little bit differently. So our conditional formatting is, I have to actually look back to remind myself. Manage rules. So we've got one option, which is the total plan time. That's this kind of light, the KISS method, exactly. And really be agree simple is better, totally. Simpler is, I think, almost always better in these cases. So we've got this light hatching color just for the total planned amount. We still have actual beyond. So if we've gone over, it's in there. And then we have percent complete. So like our darker color showing how far through we actually are. So I kind of like this. Really, there's only 3 color things anyone needs to know when they look at this. The lightest one is how far are we in terms of how far, what is the plan for how long this is going to take. The middle one is actual beyond. So, and I'm looking at this and actually I don't think that's right. Hold on. Well, what we ideally want, and this is not what it's showing because I can see it on the chart. We want to show, here's how long things are planned to take. Here's our actual progress, meaning the dark brown's the actual progress. And the orange one could be something like, hey, are we over or not over? And I'm just thinking that actual, we've got a plan start, plan duration, actual start, actual duration. So in theory, nothing's over in this example, so we shouldn't be showing any of this other color. So what I'm wondering about is, how are we going to show that? How are we going to show how much over something actually is? And have it show up and be visible? Because it has to be a color that's not going to get washed out with everything else. Hold on. Let's go back to the rule set. Manage rules. So we've got... Actual beyond. What is this? Hold on. Equals actual beyond. So none of our columns are named actual beyond. And so I'm just looking here to see if somebody had some named ranges in here or something for that. Okay, so to do this the way we need to do it, for it to be the most useful, we would need to remove whatever actual beyond is pointed at. And I'm still not even clear on what actual beyond is pointing at. We would need to remove that, and we would need to replace it with something that's like an alert for how far over the plan time something takes. Like a darker color or a red color or something that's like, you're this far past. The problem is, none of these values could actually be used for that as I look at these. None of these represent the starting point for how far over we've gone. How far over, like, the timeline we've gone. So for now, I actually think the easiest way to interpret this is just, we're literally going to keep it as two colors for now. This might be a bigger thing that I come back and maybe update this for the newsletter. Oh, maybe it was planned to start on the 3rd. It actually started on the 6th, so it's actually beyond. Yeah, that might make sense. Either way, what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to remove that rule. And so now what this is showing, and this is, in my opinion, actually a little more clear. We're showing, hey, here's how long this is supposed to take. Here's how much progress we've made, or how far through it we are. Now, the way these colors are layered together doesn't really make sense, because you want to know if, for example, percentage complete or whatever our full timeline goes beyond the planned time. We still want to see that, so we're gonna have to figure that out separately. But for now, at least, I think this is simplified a little bit. Here's what's planned. Here's where we are through it. I'll have to add in a legend here separately that explains that, like, these colored lines are showing you how long it's supposed to take. These colored lines are showing you how far you've actually gone. But at least now, when somebody looks at this, there's not a lot of room for misinterpretation. I'm wondering if this highlight concept is even necessary as I look at this more. Like, what good does this really do? If somebody wants to highlight something, it's pretty easy for them to highlight it, and this just adds yet another layer of complexity to what the chart does. I think what I might do here, actually, I'm just gonna remove that. Why not? Manage rules. I think this is it. Is that it? Is that it? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. We'll just delete all that. There we go. Okay. So we've a lot of highlight tells you what date you're in. Yeah, the problem, this is my one issue. If we had that highlight area so it automatically updated every week according to what the date is, I would use it and I would like it. But because it really is just a period that you enter in that then highlights that period, I don't think it really is as elegant, and I think it could just be kind of confusing. So for now, I'm just taking it out. So we just have a really simple Gantt chart here. And I don't actually like how this looks as much now. I feel like this is a little boring, but functionally speaking, we have something here that is way easier to interpret, and that probably will make a little more sense to people, I think. I think we'll probably do some color changes on all of this. So let me... Oh yeah, so Amer, we could do today. The problem is this chart actually can't work with dates. And this is one of the issues with Gantt charts in Excel. We can't really have these periods be actual date periods tied into the chart. What they are is just sequential periods, starting whenever you want to whenever you want, but each one represents a certain period of time. So they're not actually the day itself, and if we use today, it wouldn't actually know where to put it in terms of the periods that are listed there. It's a little frustrating. If anybody out there wants a fun project, I think if we could maybe even do this in the Discord sometime. If we all wanted to try making a Gantt chart that actually used dates based off of today and then highlighted different periods based off of the day that it is now, I think that would be an incredibly useful template for the world to have access to and would make people's lives way easier in Excel. It's a huge amount of work to make it work properly, though, where you actually have the ability to have it represent today, highlight that period, have your Gantt chart represent actual time periods, not just abstract concept of periods of time or units. So I think it could be a cool one. Maybe it's like a challenge we have in the Discord or something. I could even, I would be even, what might be fun, Discord concept, is maybe I could put up like a prize, like, $100 or something to anybody who wants to come in and try to do it or makes progress on it or something. If you look we can actually look at this right now, everyone, if y'all are interested. If we go to the templates in here, open recent, or no, new from template. These are just the Gantt charts that are built into Excel. So we just opened up that one. Here is date tracker Gantt chart. So let's open up one of these because this is going to be the closest. Okay, so the about is saying just a little bit about how this works. Add the day you started and then the day column. So if we look at this, this is doing months, days of the week, etc. You do have the ability to drop in a start and end date. This is actually pretty good. In fact, I didn't realize this was even available in the template gallery. I suspect, based off of this little scrolly wheel we have up here, that this is not being done in standard Excel. I have a feeling this might be using VBA to do this, because let's see. Well, no, these formulas look like they might be right. Huh. I'm sort of eating my own words here as I look at this very, very nicely laid out template. This is pretty good. Hey, Really B, I know you were saying you were looking for one of these. Check out this in the template gallery, because this is not bad. I mean, this interface here is terrible, and it doesn't even work on my machine, really. You have to type in the scrolling increment, which doesn't... This is just ridiculous. But the functionality here is actually pretty good. This all just would need to be updated a little bit to work a little bit better. Yeah. Although I don't want to get into actually looking at behind the scenes how this all works right now, just because A, I'm terrible at anything that involves the developer tab, and B, I know we're gonna get sucked into this, and I'm gonna have to end the stream pretty soon, so I don't want to go too deep in it yet. But just to say, this is actually doing a pretty good job, and I don't think it would be that hard for us to drastically improve this and make something with a similar functionality, which is, look, we're looking at, we're doing just like a basic logical test here with an if statement that's referencing a start date and date length and highlighting based off of that. So what I think could make this a lot better and a lot more useful for people, and something we could still do in the Discord, is take something like this, but instead of trying to do this weird infinite scroll concept, maybe have this be like a monthly planning doc, or a planning doc where you select the start and end date periods that you want, and then it lays it out in maybe monthly sections. So it's like month 1, month 2, month 3 as you scroll down, or something like that. And just get rid of this whole scrolling concept that you have up here. That could be pretty cool, and might be a really fun project for people in the Discord still. I think that could be a really nice one. So yeah, we should do a Discord session to discuss it. That's a good idea. Anyway, fun, and I love that I was proved wrong about this date concept for Gantt charts, because in fact, this is the first time I'm seeing this date concept actually looking like it works pretty well. All right, back over. So I'm going to have to sign off here in like 15 minutes, everybody. So I think I'm going to start winding down here. I think we've had a little bit of fun, though, and this has been an interesting kind of example of taking existing templates from the template gallery, sort of updating the look and feel of them, combining them for different functionality, that sort of thing. I think this has been really cool. Let's see, big takeaways from this. One is, really do take the time to think about padding and alignment and just getting things evenly spaced out on the page. It makes such a big difference in how professional things look. When you're doing your charts, take the time to style them, really get in there, really think about what font you're using. Remember to remove your backgrounds and your border outline and stuff. Think about how contrasting it's going to be with the background behind it. We talked a little bit about how one of the easy ways to get your colors to match a little bit better is to just play with the transparency option. Make the colors a little more transparent. That can help them sort of blend into the background color. What else did we talk about here? I think a big one is simplification in the charts themselves and the visualizations you use. So we talked a little bit here about breaking these down. So like a Gantt chart that has 5 different color labels is going to be virtually impossible to interpret and understand. But if we simplify it, if we just add a couple of labels, 2, 3 colors, then when somebody looks at it, they can start to interpret it a little bit more easily. Oh, Emer says not enough cat content. Yeah, I completely forgot to grab the cats. I'll pull them on before I sign off here. Yeah, the tiny details make such a big difference. That's from Really Be. Exactly. It's huge, right? But yeah, the keep it simple method is so important. And as much as I loved the Gantt chart we had here before and the functionality of it, it was hard to interpret. And in that other Gantt chart we looked at, that one with the dates, one thing I really like about this is the way that we've just got a color label and that's it. It's easy to spot and understand what I'm looking at. There's not a lot of room for misinterpretation here. And that really, really, really matters. If this was multiple colored labels, showing progress in different ways, all that kind of stuff, it would be quite hard for us to interpret this and make any sense out of it. So I'm digging that they simplified it in that way, and that's kind of what we did over here. What else? Don't be afraid to add columns. And if you're working in pivot tables like we were over here, if you are noticing that the calculated fields you're creating aren't working, it probably has to do with the sequence with which it's calculating them. Meaning, instead of going row by row and summing each value in each row, or calculating each value in each row separately, it might be aggregating all of one row and then all of another and then doing the calculation, which won't give you the right result. So if you're looking at your pivot table fields and you're like, man, this calculated field's just always giving me the wrong number, one of the easiest ways to fix that problem is just going in and adding another column to your data, a new column, and doing the calculation in that column. So right here we've just done our this column times this column calculation in each row. Now then, when we use that for a pivot table, it's actually going to calculate it the right way. It's going to use the right sequence of calculations to give us what we really want. So those are just a few of the top lessons I think we took away here on this one. We didn't get as far into this as I necessarily would have liked. If you're somebody watching this and you want to be part of like a little fun project in the Discord, it sounds like maybe we'll do this template as a project in the Discord. This is another one from the template gallery from Excel. I think maybe there'd be some fun ways we could figure out how to not necessarily do this confusing scrolling stuff, but still have a date-based Gantt chart in Excel that people could use, because there's a big demand for that. People ask for that a lot. Okay, there we go, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Let me grab the cats before I go. Everybody loves the cats, and I promised I'd bring them on. They've been a little sleepy in the evenings, but give me 2 seconds. I'm going to grab them, okay? Okay. Oh, looks like... And here we go. Mo was asleep with his brother. He is very sleepy, and Gummy is still sleeping, so we're just going to have Mo here for a sec. The kitties are doing pretty good. Gummy's leg is still injured. It takes forever, apparently, for the sort of slight dislocation things to heal. But he's getting better slowly, and he has been totally, fine in every other way and happy, and we've been taking good care of him. But he gets to rest whenever he wants to now. And Mo's doing really good. He's a sleepy boy. I don't know, you want to say hi, sleepy boy? You say hi, sleepy boy? He is actually, both of the cats have a little bit of like a wavy curl to them. I didn't notice that was a thing, but as they've gotten older, it's actually gotten a little curlier. Oh, John K., you're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in. And you never mentioned how to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong the whole time. Oh, yeah, you okay? He's like, put me down. I want to go back to sleep. Yeah. Oh, and there's what. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna grab Gummy because he just walked over. Hey, Gummy, Gummy. Oh, no, he's running away. Oh, no, he's going. All right, never mind. We're not going to show Gummy because he ran to his litter box. Okay, anyway, everybody, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I am going to be quite a bit more active, hopefully now. As y'all know, I was really sick for like a solid week and a half, and then I started getting better, and then I immediately got a horrible case of the flu again and was really, really sick for another week and a half. So I am more than a month behind on work and videos and everything else, trying to catch up. And trying to just get, honestly, just get the energy back up to start doing streams and videos and all of that. I unfortunately, even though I'm not 100% yet, uh, I am getting better for sure. I'm not really sure. Somebody suggested maybe I got the long version of the flu that people have been getting. So I don't know. But hopefully that was the last of it and it's all downhill from, or uphill, or hopefully it just all gets better for here. Anyway, the cats send you all lots of love back, and you'll be seeing more of them in the videos as well. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will be back soon with more. Bye for now.